The actual fintech, the application of technology to financial services, always moves faster than regulation and policy, and that there are unintended consequences for both of those things. And I think that's what we really need to train. Business schools really need to train their students to understand those implications. So yeah, you can build an application, it can do something, but is it doing what you want it to do, or what are the implications of what it's doing? And how do you interact with the policy world and the regulatory world, et cetera? So I do think that fintech has been around a long time. I think that's not a new story. I think technology always moves faster than policy. But I think that in this environment where we see how fast it moves and how big the implications are, I think that's something that we're doing a better job of than ever before. And I think it's a critical role that business schools need to play, is managing that and teaching that process and that critical thinking. Business drives society and technology drives business. So it's critical to understand that and have a good overview of it and how it applies to business and their organization, and what are the intended and unintended consequences of that. It's a really interesting discussion to think about, or a question to think about, which is the implications of new technologies versus, and some of the things we've seen in the past, the downside of new technology, so to speak, or the challenges. So if you look at Uber, for example, the privacy aspects, the liability aspects, et cetera, of a ride-sharing service. But understand, too, that Uber started off not where it is today. It started off as actually an Uber cab, they called it, and they wanted to be a taxi service with a better system to get taxis to the right people, and versus where they are today. So I think one thing to understand is that most new technologies are going to pivot and change. They're going to end up in different places than they started, but in all the cases, the challenges are still the same. How do we handle privacy? How do we handle security? How do we handle liability? How do we handle unintended consequences? So just because you can do something with technology doesn't mean you should do something, or doesn't mean you don't understand if you do something, you may have some implications of that. So I see the same challenges with the latest technologies I did with the early technologies, is when you apply them, what does it mean? And how does that work? And how does it work? But I think privacy, security, and liability are the three big ones. What I see is that the policymakers and the regulators in this environment are more open and collaborative than I've ever seen them before, which gives me good feelings. And whether it's financial engineering issues like led to the last financial crisis with credit default swaps, or a new technology, the ability for policymakers and regulators to interact with industry and be smart about what they do does get us to the right place. They don't want to choke innovation, but at the same time, they don't want to allow the unintended consequences that could hurt a fair market.